Hey everyone! Old School Pokemon here, back again with the PokeFlipz podcast. Joined by my usual co-host, KetchumAllCollectibles Dan. How are we doing today, Dan?
Busy. It is a busy day before we leave for a long weekend at Collecticon. So excited for that. And this time you're actually coming. You're not going to Gen Con this time, which is nice.
Yes, I will be there this time. Which will be good. I'm excited for it. I'm ready for it.
Is Gen Con like next weekend? It's
no,
soon,
Gen
right?
Con was this past weekend, actually.
Oh, so you didn't do it? It was the same as the National?
Yeah, same weekend as the National.
Oh, okay. eBay didn't put out any big thing there?
No, they weren't there because they did the National instead.
Okay, that makes sense.
Which that was a. Have you ever been to the National?
No.
That's a wild show. Puts Collecticons to shame. I thought Collecticon was a big
Gen
show.
Con?
No, the National.
Is it bigger than Gen Con though?
Oh, bigger than Gen Con. I think it's around the same size as Gen Con. I don't think it's bigger than Gen Con, but it's way bigger than a Collecticon. Lot of sports, obviously. It was like 90% sports and then like 5-10% Pokemon. But it was really cool seeing everything. You had a big area of like all the corporate sections. Walmart, whatnot, eBay, whatnot had an absolutely wild setup. They had a really good setup there. Mm-hmm. And then but yeah, it was cool to walk around and see everything. I would definitely recommend. I don't know if I would travel to it, but where it was in my backyard, basically, it was really cool to check out.
Something I want to consciously do, and I say this 24 hours before I leave for another Collecticon. Huge fan of Collecticon. It's going to be very hard to shift away from it at all. But like, I want to go to a Fanatics Fest with how much we're doing on Fanatics Live. I want to go to a National at some point. I want to go back to a Worlds at some point. It's been 6 years. It's been 6 years since you and I went to DC. Mm-hmm. I went to National in 18, DC in 19, and then haven't been since. We lost some to the pandemic. And then London, and then Tokyo, and a couple years in a row in California now. So it's like maybe I'll make it back on the 10-year anniversary at DC. I don't know.
There we go.
But yeah, it's tough with so many events. Like pretty much every weekend, you can pick something if you want to. It's difficult.
So you're not going to Worlds this year, right?
No, because it's next weekend, right?
Yeah.
I think
the weekend
it's
after
next weekend.
Charlotte.
Yeah, so it's the weekend after Charlotte, and 2 weeks after Charlotte, I've got my 10-year wedding anniversary. So we're doing a trip for that. It's like it would be 3 consecutive weekends. It's it's not doable whatsoever. No. But yeah, that's the way I probably am going to try to keep like Charlotte being a staple for obvious reasons that we'll probably talk about a little bit, like what's going on in Charlotte, and then I don't know. I had thought before Orlando was going to be a staple back when Orlando was like February in Orlando. Then they moved it to May, and it's like, okay, forget you, Orlando. But I do want to do like LA at some point. I want to do Kansas City at some point. Got to go try some of that barbecue. So there's like more Collecticon locations that I want to try for the first time. And then there's these other events that I've never done once that I want to try. It's just, it's tough. There's so many pulling in different directions.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them for sure. There's way too many events now, and then you even have all the local shows too. Like we're gonna be vending a local show the weekend after Charlotte, same weekend as Worlds actually. And then got another one in September. So yeah, all the Collecticons, all the other shows, local shows, so much going on.
I see some questions coming into the chat, which we will take. Let me do the normal announcements. Q&A, feel free to leave your questions in the chat. If you do a stop sign, if you do question in all capitals, that helps find it. Usually the chat is not too crazy. I can keep up normally. But we were going to do a little bit of a shorter one. We both have a lot of things to get done before we leave very shortly for Charlotte. So we're gonna try to wrap it up by like 3:15 Eastern. But if the questions are rolling, we'll maybe hang out a little bit after that.
Whoa,
but yeah, we're gonna try to keep it.
We got a hard cutoff. We have a hard cutoff.
We're gonna try to keep it tight to 3:15.
Get your
questions in early and often. There we go. Yeah, when I say it could spill over, Nick's like, nah, that's not gonna happen. But yeah, feel free to leave your questions. Chef says, who's ready for key lime pie? Might be a little bit of a spoiler for what's coming Saturday at Wonders. I haven't heard anything about it.
He sent out you're not an Apple person, that's why.
I haven't heard anything about it like recently.
Like reminder thing a few weeks ago.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm not like RSVP to the event because I wasn't gonna download some Apple app.
RSVP to the event. God,
I RSVP like via Discord or text message or Discord message. I forget which one, but I am going. But yeah, I'm not in that environment like all those other people getting scammed by the brand name there, way overpaying for everything. But happy to not be stuck in that ecosystem. Wait, Thrifty, isn't Thrifty live? Is Thrifty live right now?
No, she goes live at 1, half hour.
Oh, okay. Okay, so not quite yet. But yeah, last year I was in charge along with Bierski grilling some corn. We did not do the most excellent job, but Chef still turned it around and turned it into an excellent side dish. That was awesome last year. That was awesome. I feel kind of bad that like Chef is going on a trip, be with a bunch of friends, and then he's just like put right back to work. He's back in the kitchen, but he must enjoy it, right? Because I think other people have basically told him like, you don't have to do this, but it seems like he's going for it. So interested to see. We're in charge of nothing this year. Interesting to see
you lost your ability to be in charge.
You know where I excel? I excel with an IPA in my hand, with a pellet smoker that has an app on my phone that I just like set the temperature, forget it for 16 hours, and then come back and it's done. That's where I excel right there. If you've got to flip, if you've got to look for like a certain color, like I'm not all about that. I'm not excelling in those places.
Oh my goodness.
But I did do all right. I think, Chef, didn't I do all right? A couple IPAs deep.
I heard
that filet last year.
Oh, okay. I heard you burned the corn to a crisp. That's what I heard.
Yeah. we didn't do the we didn't. I think PK is live on Fanatics right now, trying to get me to give him pricing for the 151 Chinese boxes. I don't even know what I bought.
Those are expensive.
Okay. So it's the box. What do I price it for Fanatics? We're pricing it right now, Nick. I'm instating your help. I need to look back at what I paid.
I have the packs at $12.50 a piece.
How many packs are in a box?
$187.50.
And there's how many boxes in a case?
20.
You're making that much money on them?
Not that much.
PK, if there's 20 boxes in a case, that's $3,750 for a case.
What did I pay? I think I paid like $150 a box.
You paid $3,000 for a case? I guess I got a better Chinese plug than you.
Well, I had mine at release, so
oh, okay.
I haven't been slacking over here.
PK, just because Nick is like a super scalper scammer. He's we're for the community. So go with 175. I feel like 175 is a
God.
Let's go with 175. What's that box called though? I tried looking on eBay and it's like there's like slim and there's some other thing. Isn't there like 6 different variants for the Chinese?
Well, you've got the fat packs and then you've got the regular packs. And then there's 3 volumes of Chinese. This one is volume 3. And it's just a slim.
So it's volume 3. So there's how many volumes of 151?
This is the 3rd one.
Like Gem 1, Gem 2.
The gems are completely different. The gem boxes. You have Captain Pikachu in Gem 1. Gem 2, you have your Evolution ARs, and then Volume 1 of 151, you've got the Pikachu and Mew. Volume 2, you have the Pikachu and Psyduck, and Volume 3, you got the Pikachu and Gengar.
So it's Volume 3 Surprise Slim Booster Box?
Yeah.
Okay, PK. The spreadsheet is updated. We're doing it live. Your price, your title is in there. We are cheaper than, shout out to the KetchumAllCollectibles Fanatics live stream operation. We are cheaper than Old School Pokemon on eBay. So do not buy from those scammers.
Cheaper on one thing.
Yeah, it's funny. I bought like multiple cases of it from a supplier, and I didn't even know what I was buying. It's like I vaguely have followed along. I was aware of Gem 1, Gen 2. I bought some of the evolutions from Gem 2 as singles to grade. I bought some of the Captain Pikachus to grade from Gem 1. But I needed to get back to my supplier relatively quickly. And I think I was busy with like the day camp last week that I was doing with my son. And I'm just like, I'm seeing all these 151 things. I don't even know which one I'm getting. Let me just get $10,000 worth of it. Something like that. I think that's what I got. Absolutely crazy what the Chinese cards are doing. That Gengachu is like what, $2,500 raw?
It's wild. Yeah.
Insane.
It's crazy. Yeah, I don't those sets are those boxes are absolutely miserable. I hate those boxes. Because if you open them, you get 15 packs in a box, 4 cards per pack, 4 or 5 cards per pack. You're gonna get 7 Pokeball reverse hollows, and then 1 or 2 double rares, and then your big hit of the box is gonna be a Paldean Fates baby shiny. It feels so bad opening those.
Wait, you just said it's 4 cards per pack and it's 15 packs. You're paying, so it's $180 for 60 cards. You're paying $3 a card.
4 or 5 a card a pack. 4 or 5 cards a pack.
But you're paying $2 to $3 a card basically for the packs. And that's, do we know what like Japanese, we know a lot of them are selling. I think the mega sets are in the high 60s, 70ish right now. But MSRP on Japanese, if you equate from the yen to the USD, it's like high 20s, low 30s, somewhere in dollars per box.
It's gotta be.
Do we know what the Chinese MSRP theoretically is?
It's gotta be similar, I would imagine.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was slightly lower, like 20, 25 bucks. I just can't wrap my mind around everything that's going on. And I see we have a couple comments about English too. It's like English. Japanese is calming. It a lot of the more recent sets are kind of like cooling their jets a little bit. But I say that, and it's like they're going from 4 or 5 times MSRP to like 2-3 times MSRP for a lot of them. It's absolutely crazy how hard we're booming right now.
Yeah, it is wild.
Let me make sure I have all these starred so I don't miss them. Thursday said she'll be invading the pod in 15 minutes.
There we go.
Dan not wanting to get scammed by Apple, but will walk around his car battery to charge his Android phone. Walk around with his car battery. I always do have. I thought I had one next to me, but I don't. I always have to go to events with external battery packs. One big thing is like I live out in the country. I play Pokemon Go. So when I go to a city, I've always got my Go Plus connected. I'm always farming the Pokestops to gather up Pokeballs and catch Pokemon and stuff. That chews through battery like crazy. I don't think it's just an Android thing. I think if I were playing on the latest, greatest iPhone, $2,000, whatever it is, I'm sure that a full day of Pokemon Going would have that needing some car battery too.
No, you'd probably drop down to like 80%.
That's so funny though that PK super chatted. I didn't have my Discord open, but I pulled my Discord. Several messages from him in Discord that I wasn't seeing. So he came while he was live on Fanatics to super chat here, and that did the trick. Now he's now hopefully he's ripping some Gengachoos.
There we go. There we go.
Filet was pretty good. My filet trimming was pretty good. The corn was rough. Here's a good timely question because we were just talking about it. Do you think they'll do an English version of Captain Pikachu someday? And then just to go further with that, like we've been getting quite a few very solid Chinese exclusives. So take that with the Captain Pikachu, take that with the Gengachu, take that with the evolutions from Gem Pack 2. Do you think the Chinese exclusives that are currently like stonking Chinese like mad, do you think they'll always stay exclusive or not?
I can see it. I can see it. I think it adds a lot of hype to the Chinese cards, and so I can see them keeping those exclusive, at least for the time being, while they try and grow like the Chinese market. I think it is a good idea to give them exclusive cards. Selfishly, I would love it if we got a Captain Pikachu in English, because I absolutely love that card.
I think they'll stay exclusive. I think Chinese is doing so well because they're exclusive now, and I think if they like shake the confidence of Chinese speculators, investors, collectors, whatever it may be, I think that's just more bad than good. Certainly, if they brought it out in English, whatever set it came into, like those sets would probably do very, very well. But I think they have a good thing going where Japan gets some exclusives. They get the most by far. English gets some rare exclusives. The gray felt hat. Like I think this will likely forever stay an English exclusive.
Oh yeah.
I think it's smart to have where because otherwise, if every card is available in every language, you're going to have people like dabbling less across languages. And I think it's really beneficial for them to double, triple dip in people buying cards that they can't even read. Very, very common occurrence, which is very bullish for them. Here's another relevant question from Fat Belly. If you had to guess, do you think more Americans or Chinese people are buying Chinese products? I would assume Chinese, just because like it's there. It's like we're the ones importing it. It's there on the ground floor. It's coming off the printers closer to them, distributing closer to them. But truly no clue. That's entirely a guess. What do you think?
I think more Americans are buying it. I don't know with how popular, especially like the gem boxes. Gem boxes were so popular on stream, and then as Gem 1 was popular, Gem 2 is like wildly popular. So I can definitely see more of the Chinese product coming to the US than staying in China. Because I know like in the beginning, Ray was doing a ton of the Gem 2 boxes on Whatnot. There was like a week or two where Vortex, that was all he was doing on Whatnot, was the Gem 2 boxes. And then I'm sure a bunch of other sellers too.
I just did a quick Google, and I'm not 100% sure on this because I think I probably saw some gem boxes when I was at your place. I can't remember if last time I was there you had I think you did have Chinese stuff, but I've never handled a box. I've never opened a pack. But I think as long as Google is correct, Gem 1, Gem 2, I think they're 20 boxes per case, 15 packs per box, 4 cards per pack. I just did a quick Google, and 151 says it's 5 cards per pack. Same, 20 bucks per case, 15 per box. But then it's saying 5 cards per pack. I don't know if anyone in chat can verify, can let us know.
I would believe that.
One thing that drives me nuts, and this is what I was using this as a preface to, like, I just got restocked some Surging Sparks and Destined Rivals booster bundles. I don't know if you got those too, But it's annoying to me how like the Surging Sparks ones are the square ones, and the Destined Rivals ones are the other form factor where it's like more of a rectangular. And I just recently bought a big collection. I bought like $50,000. Well, it was a couple different collections, and both of them had Crown Zenith booster bundles, which are like the Surging Sparks square style. That drives me nuts. It drives me so crazy. Like, why can't they just have a booster box is a certain given size? And that's changed slightly between generations when they changed the amount of cards per pack and the code card and whatever. But like, that just drives me nuts. ETBs changing sizes. I used to collect every ETB. Then they made those Zacian Zamazenta ETB pluses. And then they like all these different PC ETBs, and it's just nuts. It's like, can't we just stick with more just regular, consistent, this is the product line? And ETBs, do they have 8, 9, or 10 packs? Do they have a promo? Do they not? I can't keep up. I can't keep up with it all. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah, I hate the different sizes of everything.
Yeah, like back when I used to engage with it more as a collector, like collecting every at some point in the past, I used to keep, I think you still do this, or at least you did last time I visited, one of most collection boxes. And you've got the ones that come with the 4-packs with the jumbo, the 4-packs with the figure, the 4-packs with the pin, the 3-packs, the 2-packs, this like all different shapes and sizes, and it's like it's way too much. It's at least for me. It made it easier to step away from collecting all those different kinds of things. And yeah, just kind of ranting on my distaste for the variants. And it's like a lot of times it's so close. It's so close that it's like it's the same boxes per case, it's the same packs per box, but they just add an extra card in. Like how are you supposed to remember all this?
Yeah, exactly. No, it makes it tough. Makes it tough. And I'm just trying to display everything uniform. It does not work.
Yeah. Walrus has a good point here. And I feel like I heard this somewhere. I can't remember. I don't know if this is legitimate or not, but it sounds right, given what MSRP is like on Japanese boxes. MSRP in China is $20. No way any other country is consuming it more than its intended market. I agree with that sentiment. I agree with that logic, but that is still speculation. Like we don't know for sure. I think there's a lot of exporting going on, but I think there's a lot more like domestic consumption likely going on too. Hive Mind says catching up at 4x speed. It's kind of crazy.
4x.
So YouTube on desktop caps you at 2x. I have YouTube Premium though. I think it's a premium feature. I've never strayed above 2. Above 2 is like crazy to think about, but I didn't realize that 4 was the cap. I thought it was 3x was the cap. That's insane, but not surprising.
There's no shot that's real.
I know you can go at least up to 3x, but I mean, yeah, we are some slow talkers. So we have quite a few stars. Let me start to work my way through them. How does Dan get the splinters out from all the fence sitting? It's a vinyl fence. It's not a wood picket fence that I'm sitting on. It's a vinyl fence, and it got a nice wide, plenty of space to sit on. Do you think it's underestimated the lack of detailed knowledge in the hobby? What % of people know eBay and not TCG Player, don't know Probstein, don't know about South Tax exemption? Yes, I think people that are watching PokeFlipz are generally in way deeper than the average consumer, the average participant in the Pokemon market. And we take for granted. Like, I've made videos on my YouTube channel before of how to use eBay search and how to look for sold listings. Your average, like, your average person, just in general, they go on eBay and they search this like random item that they have in their house, and they see that it's listed for $10,000, and then they think it's worth $10,000. They don't know how to search by low list. They don't know how to search by sold, what was actually paid, go to 130 point. Yeah, we are in super deep. And what % of people know about eBay and not TCG Player? I don't know. I would say eBay is significantly more ubiquitous. But to put a % on that, I just can't. Probstein, I talk with people like, man, I should get an affiliate link through Probstein because I actually have it pinned in our Discord. I have it pinned in the Pokenomics Discord in the help and advice section because I talk about using Probstein, 95% payout on any case of anything because anything over $1,000. And it's kind of a pain to Google Probstein consignment, Probstein, where do I ship my consignment? It's very difficult. But I got it in an email before. And so I just pinned it. I pinned it in Discord. And I'm teaching people how to do that have been in Pokemon for 5 years, that have been in Pokemon for 10 years. I'm teaching some people how to do that who've sold $1 million worth of Pokemon cards and they've never shipped the Probstein. So it's definitely like very in-deep specialized knowledge. I actually I should have texted Alex, but I was listening to Alex and Eli yesterday or the day before. I forget if they're Monday or Tuesday. And somebody had asked them about buying like Paradox Rift at like 1,500 or something.
Yeah.
And Alex said like it felt kind of high. And Eli like, yeah, that feels kind of high. They looked it up and they're like, yeah, that's kind of high. And then in chat, the guy was like, oh, that's with sales tax. How Alex and Eli didn't jump on this guy? Like, please, I've made 5 videos before about the #1 mistake Pokemon investors make. If you're investing and paying sales tax, you are doing everything wrong. Sorry, James, if you're listening, Mr. ZNG Emporium, former corporate accountant. A couple of years ago, we had him on the podcast, and he did not know that you did not have to pay sales tax on items intended for resale. And he was a corporate accountant. Clearly, he didn't work in that aspect of like accounting's a big field, I guess. But yes, this is all very specialized knowledge that we take for granted, and it is not as ubiquitous as we think it is.
Yeah,
I don't know if I left. I don't know if I left anything for you there, Nick. Sorry, I went on such a tirade there.
I think we're so far in deep, and the average person in Pokemon isn't nearly as deep. Doesn't spend nearly as much time on this stuff, and so I think it kind of makes sense that they don't know Probstein, they don't know sales tax exemption, all that stuff.
Yep.
Funny story about Probstein. I met him at the National, and he actually knew who I was, which was wild.
He hops into your lives, right?
Yeah, I did not think he would remember me, though. I was shocked. So that was cool.
We have a unannounced special guest that I wasn't sure if he was going to make it or not, but let's pull him onto the stage. Mr. Jake, Pokenomics, how's it going? Uh-oh, we can't hear you.
He's muted.
We got Thrifty. How's it going, Thrifty? Look at that. 2 unexpected guests.
Can you hear me now?
There we go.
Yep.
How we doing?
We're doing well. How are you doing? You ready for Charlotte?
Getting ready today.
There we go.
I was excited for Charlotte. It's always a blast.
Very excited.
I'm excited.
We're trying to I think we're trying to do too much this weekend with all the things, but it's gonna be fun. Hopefully we can fit it all in.
Yeah. Any insight on any big plans? You do any live stream in person there, or anything you can tease us with?
We're not doing an eBay live at this event. I don't know if they're doing one at this event. I don't know if you know, Nick.
I don't think they're coming to this one.
Yeah, they might I think they're just doing the card parties, I guess.
Yep.
And not collecticons at the moment. But no, we're gonna do. There'll be some like normal live streams from the house. We might be doing something with MetaZoo. I assume you guys will be streaming some of that maybe too. But yeah, nothing, just like normal eBay live stream from the house type of thing while some of us go to the show.
Yep. Cool.
Nick, are you going to be, are you guys going to be streaming this weekend?
I don't know. I was going to do one Saturday afternoon, but I don't know if that's going to happen. We'll see what time Saturday afternoon starts, but yeah, I don't know. I was thinking about that, but I might just skip it. So I'm flying down tomorrow morning, and then coming back Sunday afternoon. So Saturday is really going to be the only day that I get to go to the show. So I might just walk around and check everything out.
Yep, I'm flying out Sunday at like 3, so I don't even know if I'll pop into the show Sunday morning or not. Not sure on that. This was way early in the thing. DR case is at 2100. I think Dan is going to lose the bet. So I did, when I made the bet with Retro, I bet that Destined Rivals, I think, not the boxes, not the cases necessarily, but I think Destined Rivals packs will be available under MSRP at some point. I might be wrong. I definitely could be wrong. I'm open to losing that bet. I don't think it's guaranteed. The amount of people that I hear guaranteeing that it won't go under MSRP just makes me a little bit nervous. But yeah, we'll see what happens on that.
It's still definitely the best set for ripping on stream. I think I still rip more of that than like black and white even.
I actually haven't looked. I'll check right now live. I don't think that's my highest selling set of the last month.
Well, yours is probably Paradox because of the bounty.
The bounty.
Are you driving down or flying down, Jake?
Flying.
Oh, that'll be good.
Yeah.
That'll be good.
Yeah, those days are behind me. Only with you, Nick. Only with you.
Only with me.
Now that you've abandoned me and abandoned our friendship by moving away from Boston. I'm kidding. I assume you're not driving from Chicago.
No, I'm flying.
Unless Thrifty is driving the crew down.
No, we're flying.
Is your whole crew coming, or just you?
Just me. I'm flying Thursday. She's flying Friday, and then Walrus is staying here.
Walrus doesn't want to make it down.
Hivemind will be there too, which will be good. I think he's Friday, Saturday.
So just looking at the stream data, we had like a 4-way, essentially a tie. Black Bolt, White Flare, Destined Rivals, and Fusion Strike all sold approximately the same amount of packs in the past week. Not what I would have expected, but yeah, a week's worth of stream data. Not too much to act on. One little anecdote. I think I lost like a million questions, but
oh my, the production value here is just going downhill.
Question for Dan. Any tips or tricks for managing consignments? Very careful spreadsheeting with SIR or lot number tracking to distinguish identical cards. Is this manual or automated for you? So on eBay, I would say use the SKU, use this SKU, stock keeping unit. Use that, and you can put the, or you could use something like the cert number. There are a lot more ways. There's a lot more freedom to do that in eBay. But like I get a lot of PSA 10, Gray Felt Hat, Pikachus. I get a lot of the same cards over and over and over. So being able to differentiate between one and the other is necessary. One thing with Fanatics, though, the back end, it's endlessly frustrating. I've been talking with them and working with them for a while on this. I hope the end is in sight on it. But they have, when you load a card into your vault, they have certain data there, like the cert number. But when you do a sales report, they strip away the cert number. So it's like they have the information. They're just not pushing it out to the CSV that you download there. So the answer to that is with eBay, it's a lot easier. With Fanatics, it's semi-automatic, but also semi-manual, depending on the situation. It's more complex than I can really cover other than that little bit that I just gave you there, if that, hopefully that makes sense. But definitely very careful spreadsheeting. I'm unfortunately human, though. I wish I was purely robotic. I do make mistakes here and there, and always resolve those as I run into them. But the more automated they are, I do have VLOOKUPs. I have things where I just drop the sales, and it pulls in most of what it can, but it can't do quite all of it. If I had on eBay, it would be fully 100% automated and nearly error-proof.
I'm surprised the back end of Fanatics isn't as good. Because like you guys have the so much better setup for the lives. I'm surprised eBay actually beats Fanatics in that on like regular.
It's really crazy too, because like I said, the data's there. The data's there when you export your vault, but you can't export your sales in the same way that you export your vault. And for whatever reason, they just strip away. They strip away the submission number that it came in, that's there in the initial export, and they strip away the cert number, both of which are fairly unique. Well, the cert number is a fully unique identifier, and the submission number isn't entirely unique because you might have 100 cards in a submission, but it's helpful, and you just lose them both in the sales reporting side, which is a very silly situation to be in. Here's one that was asked before Jake hopped in, but last handheld Pokemon game did you both play? I played a very small amount of Pokemon Moon, and then I never even finished it. But I think I played that on the way to like Worlds or on the way to like some Pokemon event on the airplane, and then I never went back to it.
I've never really played the Pokemon games. I played Red and Blue. I never had a Game Boy growing up, so I would play that with like hanging out with friends on theirs. But aside from that, I've never really played the games. Have you played anything, Jake?
Sword and Shield's the last one I played. Yeah, I'll probably pick up another one soon. I'm sort of waiting for a game that gets like awesome reviews and is like open world feeling before I like buy another one. But there's so many good games now that it's hard to like play Pokemon. It's even though I love Pokemon a lot, it's like the games today. Like I've been playing this like Dune game, this like survival Dune game recently. It's just, and I don't have that much time to play games, so it's hard to get to the Pokemon ones.
That's the other thing. It's hard to have time to play any games.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still buy all of them as they come out, but I played Yellow and Crystal many times over when I was younger. I got Sapphire, and I played it most of the way through. I don't believe I ever beat Sapphire. And then I took the long break. But, yeah, I own every game. I own every game all the way back. And someday I would love to go back to them, but I'm just not sure. And honestly, at this point, it feels like even though I own the physical game, this is kind of like blasphemy. But I might have to just emulate. Like if I ever go back and I play Diamond and Pearl or whatever, playing it at that just original speed, it's like ain't nobody got time for that. I'm gonna emulate it and play it at like 2x, 3x, whatever. Go through all the cutscenes and not cutscenes, but like the conversations, the dialogue quicker.
Why rush through it when you can enjoy it? Enjoy it like it was meant to be enjoyed.
Yeah. I'd rather, just like the reason I listen to YouTube on 2x, I'd rather be more efficient with my time. I'd rather get more done. When I'm being inefficient with my time, I want to be as efficient as possible when I'm being inefficient. Birch says, I've been seeing people on Instagram talking about Chinese 151 fake boxes. How prevalent are they? And has Dan or Nick known of anyone who had an issue with the bootleg? I'm just getting into Chinese. I have what I believe to be a very solid supply line, and I don't think it'll be an issue for me. What percentage it is out there, I have no clue. It feels like it could be a pretty reasonable problem, given how expensive these things, how hype these things are, given that the source for a lot of them on eBay is China, right?
Mm-hmm. I think that's always something you got to worry about because like every fake in the world comes from China. Not even like cards, but like electronics and stuff. It's all, I don't know. But yeah, I haven't ran into that issue either. Luckily, the guy that I bought my first, or I bought two off of two people who were trustworthy. So that was good. Hopefully it stays that way. But yeah, I think it is going to be something that you do have to be careful about. So I can definitely see a lot of fakes.
What do you think, Jake? Are you guys interacting heavily with the Chinese stuff? How's that going on the streams? Have you had any issue with fakes?
No issue. Yeah, people. It's very popular, and We have been engaging in it. Not something I've thought a lot about, the fakes. I don't buy them, so I don't know. I think Wonder is probably sourcing those, or maybe BB. So I don't really know. But yeah, as Nick said, you definitely have to be concerned about the general fakes that come out of that country of everything.
Yeah. I'll be right back.
Okay. Dan, saw your video on print runs. You're very bullish on X, Y, and Sun and Moon relative to Modern. I agree, but at the same time, I hear you saying you would have sold Evo and Evolving Skies many times over. Yeah, so Jake, you're well aware of the print run video or the print run presentations that I've done in the Patreon quite a bit. I did like a very topical version of that for just the general print runs of X, Y, Sun and Moon, Sword, Shield, and Scarlet Violet eras on YouTube. And like, we know what sets were in print generally during certain years, and we know how many cards were printed each year. So like like the XY being set at X, Sun and Moon being set at like X for a print run. Sword Shield was like almost 2.5 times that, I believe. And then I think it was nearly 3 times that for Scarlet and Violet era. So I just talked about those relative print runs and what could be the case 10, 20, 30 years from now if we're printing 30 billion cards a year, 50 billion cards a year. Obviously, all very speculative. But yeah, looking back over what I did on XY, Sun, and Moon, I talked about that. I never know if it's Gackle or what. I think I always say Gackle. I don't regret having sold X, Y, and Sun and Moon when I did, because at the time, with the information that I had, those were relatively high print runs relative to the generations prior. So working with the knowledge that I had at the time, I was sitting in almost like a current situation. It's like, hey, this generation has been printed more than the last few. We know that because of the data they're giving us. And looking at my business cash flow, looking at my situation, looking at my opportunity cost, it was the best thing for me to sell Roaring Skies when they hit 300 a box. It was the best thing for me to sell Evolutions when they hit 400 or 500 a box. Hindsight makes it so like, oh, well, had you actually held some of those, you would have made a ton of money, but you're never going to have the foresight that you have in hindsight. So the big question is, as I've characterized it this way many times, the unstoppable force versus the immovable object. Who's going to win? Where will the hobby be in 5 years from now? Will the print runs be 30 billion cards? Will live streams still be ubiquitous? Will they be even more of a staple in the industry and the hobby? So many questions we don't know the answer to. So yeah, that's just kind of like an outpouring of my thoughts around that. Anything to add, Jake or Nick?
Yeah, it's all we only know relativity. We don't know what the long-term demand is going to look like. So, relatively, we can say this thing seems to be, again, it's guessing, speculating, but relatively a lot rarer than this other thing. And so theoretically, the rarer thing, because there's less supply, it's not going to need as much demand to reach as high prices, et cetera, et cetera. But what we don't know is the demand side, and demand, because these products can be opened, the relative rarity of X and Y compared to Sun and Moon, compared to Black and White, and on isn't fixed, right? So it can shift and change over time. So if 99% of all of these sets get opened and only a tiny bit is left of any of these sets, there may only be a little bit left in 10, 15 years of Sun and Moon and X and Y, even though 4 or 5 years ago, it seemed like there would be endless supply of that. Like, that's theoretically possible, that it could be a similar amount. There may be as many team up boxes as base set boxes one day, if a ton of it gets open. Now, it's these are very speculative things. So again, 4 or 5 years ago, would you have expected this type of popularity? Would you have expected this many people to come into the hobby? Would you have expected this much interest in newer sets that maybe at the time didn't seem important? Team Up's a great example, I think, just because nobody really cared about that set when it came out. We can go back to some XY sets, like what's really popping off. Like Phantom Forces, good example. No one really cared about that set too much, for years and years. And now these boxes are reaching $11,000, which is similar to what 3-4 years ago, what EX boxes were starting to get to from the original Nintendo EX era. We really felt like those were rare. We didn't feel like X, Y, and Sun and Moon didn't seem so rare, but it's that whole. So much of this is off of vibes and feelings, and we just don't know how much is sitting in people's houses versus it really just got opened, or Pokemon just didn't print that much, and maybe we overestimated the amount they printed of certain sets. Time will be the greatest teller. 10, 15, 20 years, and anyone who's making bold claims, my take on people who make bold claims one way or another, that they're talking out of their where. So
yeah, no, it'd be interesting to know. Like I personally, I would think XY Sun and Moon got printed a lot less than less than Sword and Shield, and then a lot less than Scarlet and Violet. But then at the same time, Sword and Shield, and particularly Scarlet and Violet, has been opened a lot more. So like what does the supply of sealed boxes look like? I think it's still there's a lot more Sword and Shield and Scarlet and Violet than Sun and Moon and XY, but give it 5-10 years from now, what's it going to look like then? We'll never know, but it'll be interesting.
That's my point, right? Is it possible that it could be that the difference could be, even if there is still a difference, like let's say there are twice as many Scarlet and Violet booster boxes in 10 year, but if there's only 5,000 and 2,500, that's nothing. If the demand is like this, now the demand could also dramatically shrink, and if the demand dramatically shrinks, these booster boxes are going to get destroyed. I mean, these $5,000 boxes will be $100, will be $200, and I know that blows people's minds based on this, the environment we're in right now, but demand could shrink like that. So that's what you have to be prepared for it if you're investing or speculating on these things. It is so speculative, and the range at which these items can be is just so massive.
Yeah, anytime I say something like that some of these multi-$1,000 boxes could go back down, like I don't think many of them will crash that drastically, but they could go down 50%, 80%, 90%. It really, a lot of people push back on that. A lot of people just have no concept that could happen. That could happen. Sealed only goes up. The amount of it out there only goes down. Deflationary, blah, blah, blah. Like very scary things being said in today's current YouTube space, just like were being said a few years ago.
And maybe that low, we may only put a 3, 4, 5%, even 1%, even less than 1% chance on, depending on the set. But it's still a fact, right? That still has to be taken into account if you're risking a lot of money and you're seriously investing or building your business around holding a lot of these items. Now, yeah. So I think now, what is the most likely case? Like that's where I feel like I'm so. The market just behaves so erratically, in my opinion, that I just I don't even know. So that's why I don't invest in these things, and I just have a business where I flip and resell and make a margin, because I don't feel like I have the ability to, anticipate or gauge these things. So it's I think if you're going to invest, I would always invest in the rarest, most historic item. And I wouldn't overthink this, and I would not try and pick the next great thing from middle era Pokemon, which may not be that important, to be honest with you. I wouldn't be investing in any of these things, absolutely not, as a serious investor. But to speculate, if you speculate on these things, you have a perfectly reasonable chance of making a lot of money. I mean, a lot of people have made a lot of money holding Scarlet and Violet, Sword and Shield, Sun and Moon, X and Y boxes that bought them a year, 2, 3, 4 years ago. I would still call what they did gambling and speculating, but they made a lot of money speculating. You can make a lot of money speculating on these things. Certainly could have gone a different way, but it hasn't so far, right? But the inverse can definitely happen too, where you speculate on things and then the point of speculation, when I use the term speculation, it's a lack of data. It's a lack of being able to actually predict what's going to happen. It's an inability to know what the math really is. It's an inability to predict the demand or even really know how much supply there is or what's causing the market to move. And it's an unsatisfying answer because it's like, well, what do I do with that? Yeah, it's like, well, you flip. If you want to make money, you flip. What do? You take the guaranteed profit and keep doing that over and over again. You don't try and predict things you can't predict. It's not the sexiest answer in the world, but it's the honest. It's frankly the only honest answer that you'll get.
And this is a common sentiment that like investing in anything is a gamble. It needs to be stated that the intrinsic value of these speculative assets we call Pokemon cards, it's exponentially more risky than buying like Coca-Cola or buying Berkshire Hathaway, buying these companies that own productive assets. You are buying into the collective output of hundreds of thousands, millions of people that go and work jobs, and there's like actual equipment, there's land, there's things there. So to brush it off and say like investing in anything is a gamble, so I'm going to YOLO it all on Dogecoin, I'm going to YOLO it all on Destined Rivals at 330 a box. Very, very different from buying the S&P 500 or something. I understand what you're saying, but yeah, I just wanted to push back on it some.
Well, so what I would say is that this is semantics, right? So it depends how we're defining these words, but like obviously, and no investments, like the word investment is used with things that have a chance of working out, a chance of not working out, and so in that sense are a gamble. What I'm talking about though, by using the word investing versus speculating,
this is a gamble.
So investing is investing in something where you have the numbers and the math and the data behind the fundamentals to have a mathematical kind of understanding of what are the odds of you being successful. So if you know the general supply and demand of something, or you have some ability to sort of predict that, because you have some sort of an insider information or whatever, then you are more towards the investing side, right? Now, is there still elements of that you are unsure about and that you're guessing at? Of course, there's always that. And people who are investing in the stock market, even the best investors, are gambling to some extent, and they don't know everything, but they do know a lot. They know a lot about these companies. They know the business plan. They know the people who are running the companies. They see the actual profits. What do we know? Like very, very little.
We know that every box is only up.
Right, exactly.
I think that's my biggest thing is I don't know anything about stocks, investing in that. Almost to a fault, but I know a lot more about Pokemon. So it feels like I have more of an edge with Pokemon, and I can do better with that than just randomly putting it into like Apple or Amazon or whatever. So that I think it does make sense that people prefer Pokemon over like traditional stocks and all that stuff. I can definitely see the argument for it.
Yeah, I mean, so I think also these terms get confused. Like, what are we defining investing versus more short-term flipping or short-term type speculation plays where you're also buying under the market? And like, the more you're buying under the market, the more knowledge you have and engagement, and the faster you're going to sell it, the more likely you are to make a profit. So the longer you're trying to predict out into the future, right? So if I say I'm going to buy this booster box under market, or I'm going to buy a box that's filled with popular Pokemon that people are really excited about, and I'm going to buy it under market, and I'm only going to hold it for 3 years, and I'm going to see what happens. There's like a far greater chance of you being able to predict what's going to happen and make money on something like that as an investor in Pokemon. Based on the last, you could say, well, I think the demand is still going to be there. I'm guessing. I'm guessing on that. I think what's going to happen over the last 3 years is going to happen again in the next 3 years. Okay, I'm guessing on that. But here's a bunch of boxes that were similar that did that. And I'm also guessing or speculating that the print run isn't going to be so much more than the last print run, and the demand is going to be similar to the last demand. So I think it will move the same. That's the theory that that's basically all anyone here can do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so there's a certain amount of gambling, you know, but there's also, to Nick's point, there's a certain, you do know, you're not just blindly buying something that you're not super engaged in. You know how to sell it. You know how the different ways you can break it down and make money. You know how to build a business around it. Like, there is a lot of knowledge. We don't need to say that there's no knowledge or there's no edge that people can have in this. I just think it's greatly, I believe that most people who are putting lots of money in this probably have an overinflated sense of what they can predict. Has been my feeling in this hobby. And because people have had so much success, how could you not have an overinflated ego? Mm-hmm. You know, and sense of kind of control. I think it takes large losses to bring you back down to earth. And I do think a lot of people were brought back down to earth in 2020. But I think, we'll see. We'll see what happens. You know, it's more of an attitude and do you really know what you're doing that I tend to have an issue with. The whole like Coca-Cola is a better investment than Pokemon like argument is a little bit more like, I mean, there's a lot of reasons why Coca-Cola isn't a great investment right now that I could go into. Like, they don't, like, yes, they have a high dividend, but they don't have a great, business plan to continue to grow. They've already saturated a lot of the market. What new products are going to create? So like we can dig down into certain businesses and be like, this business has a lot more growth potential. Now, there's also like, why are we investing, right? This is why people don't give financial advice online. Are you investing so that you get a dividend and can like live your life like a Dan kind of like fire, move, which Coca-Cola, AT&T, these high dividend companies are like really great for that? Or are you trying to make like a large amount of money in a fairly short to medium time? And then you're going to have to be more on the speculative side. You're going to have to go more in the momentum growth stuff. And certainly Bitcoin and Pokemon and these alternative assets, if you had done that, you've made a lot of money. Now, how many of the people who bought into these things had way overinflated senses of their own like success rate? I think a lot. I think in order to speculate on some of these things, many people have to have an overinflated sense, but it does work sometimes. In fact, it can work a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, people conflate outcome with correctness of decision. Right now, if you've bought anything Pokemon in the past 12 months, like you've been very correct by outcome. Have you been correct with your, like, if you bought Destined Rivals at 250 because sealed only goes up and they can't possibly print enough to satisfy current demand. If you bought it for those reasons, you're buying it for fundamentally flawed reasons, but it might end up panning out. Like Destined Rivals might never go under 300 again. I'm betting that I think it will go under MSRP again. Not necessarily the boxes, but like the packs. It might not go under 300 either. Like it might truly be at its all-time low from here into eternity. It might never go lower. But I think if you're investing, speculating, gambling, whatever you want to call it on that, again, it's all semantics. I think that's flawed logic, but you could still win. Destined Rivals could be a $3,000 box in 5 years, like I said in my recent video. And you would have been right while being very flawed in your logic, and you just kind of like broken clock right twice a day type situation, in my opinion.
Yeah, the flaw is in your process, right? And if your flaws are in your process and your thinking and strategies, like eventually the probability is that you will be wrong more than you're right. But the probability is also you will be right sometimes. If you take lots of big swings, you'll probably be right sometimes.
And I guarantee you, like this weekend at casinos across the world, there will be 500 individuals minimum sat at a roulette table, and some of them will have a system. And of those 500 people, there will be some people that employ some kind of a system, whether it's martingale, whether it's reverse martingale, something that's mathematically debunked, something that's mathematically provably negative EV. And out of those 500 people, 470 of them will probably lose their shirts. Maybe they'll end up divorced. Some amount of those will win over and maybe they'll win for the first night and the first week and the month, and maybe they'll win for the year. But long term, that is a losing game mathematically. Here, it's a lot more abstract. We don't know the percentages. We don't know. But whereas like roulette is a very great analogy. blackjack, we don't want to use it. Oh, well, you could count cards. And some people would say like, well, I'm a functional card counter in the Pokemon space because I'm that smart and I'm that good. And but with roulette, there's no gaming the system. There's no beating it. There's no system that will make you overcome the plain hard mathematics.
Yeah, I think for me, it's just I don't believe that people really have, that anyone here has enough of an edge or knowledge for me to clear the bar of what I would call investing. But again, that's a semantic sort of like my definition of like the type of math you need. And you're like, there's too much vibes and too much intuition and too much just money go up so good, money go like price go down so bad. You know, and that's always been the case in my opinion for 5 years. Now, to Nick's point, you shouldn't invest in things, and you shouldn't out there probably invest in things that you don't understand just because people are telling you it's a good investment, like the stock market. And Nick knows way more about Pokemon and has a massive business in Pokemon, so there are a lot more reasons for someone like Nick to be investing or speculating somewhat on Pokemon. You know, and I think people can hear, you know, us pushing back on the semantics of investing as like, you can't make money here, or you shouldn't try and make money here, or you shouldn't use your knowledge and advantages here.
You're trying to hog it all for yourself. I've fought the good fight of investing versus speculation. I've made my couple videos on the topic, and from a couple years on, I've just been using the word investing. When I inside, like I know when I'm talking about my pallets, even that I'm holding 5+ years, I deem those speculations for reasons that I've covered. I just can't hash that out every single time I talk about it. So I use the accepted vernacular of investing when, in my opinion, it's more speculation. If Pokemon goes down 50%, what else would go down? Pokemon could go down 50% with the S&P 500 not going down. Sometimes people, again, due to the overconfidence, due to the just ignorance, I don't know what to call it, but some people think it will take like a cataclysmic event to make Pokemon stop doing what it's doing. Demand is so fickle. Demand in these types of collectibles can be very, very fickle. It's been proven over time in many, many other spheres. But yeah, like Pokemon is at risk of something happening on its own to change demand, and then it could go down. It's also at risk. Like I'm quite confident if we have a sustained recession, depression, if Bitcoin goes down sub $30,000, which historically it's had many, many 80% drops. If the S&P 500 goes down 40% from here, which historically it's had many 40% drops. If we have a prolonged period of a couple of years where the major markets are going down a lot, I don't see how it doesn't affect Pokemon. And you can say, well, like, oh, a couple of years ago, the pandemic, stock market went down, tariff stock market went down 10%, 15%, correction territory, whatever you want. That was different. That was a shorter term thing. If we get a prolonged period, 6 months, a year, a couple of years, I don't see how it's not going to come into Pokemon a little bit. If people are losing their jobs, this is not food, water, shelter. This will be affected to some extent. Multi-millionaire, centimillionaires, billionaires won't be affected in their collecting endeavors, likely, but a lot of people would be affected for sure.
So I would say in the last like 5 years, so little of this has had anything to do with anything macroeconomic, very obviously. So like Alakazam Gold Star just went up just 12x in the last 4 months. Has the macro economy shifted? No, right? It's the exact same. So like most of the gains and then most of the losses in 2020, in 2021, right, had nothing to do with anything macroeconomic. Now, could they in the future? Absolutely. But this goes to why people really aren't investing much here. Right? Like it's so unknown. And it's so, to Dan's point, like it is so just fad and hype driven, and people trying to make money and speculation driven, both the price movement up and the price movement down, right? The sudden collapses in prices we've seen in the last few years are because people are trying not to lose money, not because there's a huge shift in the market, but people are just panicking and trying to get out of them and don't want to lose money. And you know why it's going up so much? Because people are trying to make money. You know, and when you're in a market that is being driven by those forces, and the massive gains or loss rate driven, that the macroeconomic environment just doesn't matter nearly as much as it would in something like Coca-Cola, you know, a stock like that, well, people are just going to buy less of it, or, you know, now some companies like that, they actually buy more and, you know, have interesting price movements in recessions. But, you know, take a luxury good that the company is based around people having jobs and money in order to be able to buy it. Theoretically, that's going to go down. Now, are these being pushed up because people are consuming Pokemon like they would these other things? Probably not right now. They're probably doing it to make money and speculate. And so it's not so much driven by the, like, people have more money because of the macroeconomic environment. It's kind of just driven by, you know, a lot of people in the space trying to make money, trying to quit their jobs, trying to do what we're doing, trying to do what the three of us on this camera are doing, trying to do what a lot of people here in the chat are doing. You know, that's driving a lot of the activity. So, but it could be different, you know, 5, 10, 15 years from now, for sure. What do you think, Nick?
Yeah, no, I think you guys, the Pokemon market can go up and down without anything else changing, and we've seen that already, like you said. So I think that makes sense. Yeah, I do think though, outside of like the higher end market, like you said, the Gold Star Alakazam, I think that one definitely, people buying it. Yes, you have people buying it because they like it, but also people buying it because what's going on with Gold Stars and hoping that continues in the future. But I do think in like the regular market, with the cheap singles pack stuff like that, I do think you have a massive buyer pool of people who are just, they don't care. Well, they care a little bit about the value, but they're buying it because they like it and they enjoy it, and it's their free money to spend on enjoyment versus something that's investable, going to go up in value, all that stuff.
We've actually got a timely question from Pricey Collectibles. It was asked half an hour ago, but it's a timely time to take it. If you were sitting on a vast stock amount of gold stars, would you be looking to clear that stock or continue to see how the sales go over the near future before selling? Currently holding 100 plus slabs. The first thing I'll always say is, like, personal finance is very personal. We're all in the same arena playing very different games. So, like, the number one consideration to this for me would be, like, if I was in your shoes, I would need to know what's my overall cash flow, financial situations, what's my opportunity cost. The key thing that a lot of people miss, I think, in the Pokemon space is opportunity cost. That is like one of the opportunity cost and risk are like your main things as an investor, I think. So me personally, I don't really speculate, invest in slabs over the long term. Hindsight, gold stars would have obviously been a good speculative play 6 months ago, a year ago, holding to today. What will they do over the next 6 months to a year? A lot less obvious than what they did over the past 6 months to a year. So if I had them 6 months to a year ago, I did have some. I sold them. If I had them today, I'd sell them. I know that doesn't really provide you much use or anything, but this is a very generality that I'll give, that I think a lot of times the prevailing sentiment is like the direct opposite of this. If an item that I hold whose fundamentals haven't changed fundamentally, 10x is in price, I become more likely to sell. Whereas some people, when an item whose fundamentals have not shifted whatsoever, if it 2x's, 4x's, 10x's, they become more likely to buy. That just makes me more likely, and it feels like the way that you're asking this question, you're holding them, you probably held them. It almost feels like you're thinking more about selling them now because the price went up so much. So if I owned them personally, I would sell them all, but you might miss a lot of gains. I would plow that money into having more working capital for buying at 80% and selling at 100%, for just arbitraging and making my margin and more sure type things. What would you guys do? And Jake, I think you're a good one to answer this because, like, you own a lot of gold stars. I don't think Nick owns a substantial amount either.
No, I don't think I have a single one.
Yeah, so I actually did speculate on gold stars. So I had about 100 plus also slabs about 3-4 months ago, and so I can talk to you exactly what I've been doing and why I've been doing it and my thought process. Again, I'm in a different financial situation than you, likely, or whatever. Maybe less, maybe more, I don't know, but probably different. And so take it for what it is one random guy who's telling you that he cannot predict the future, but is experienced in this and is willing to speculate and gamble. People don't know this, but I do speculate, right, in this market, and I do speculate on certain things, and I've been wrong on some things and right on other things, like everyone. So this is one of the areas that I have been speculating on these, because I thought the relative price of these to alt arts, to things like the Moonbryon, made absolutely no sense. And when I could buy like PSA 10 Gold Star Muse for like $1,000 more, like, and there's only 60, 70 in the pop, I'm going to buy 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of them over time in auctions and accumulate. And then what happens is exactly what I did in 2019 and 2018. When the hype hits, I start to sell and take some profits, and I kind of sell. I sold all the way through. So I tend to sell all the way up and then down. It's, so what I'll tell you about gold stars in particular is, like, gold stars to me, when I look at the items that, when I think 20, 30, 40 years from now, and I look at items like this, and I think, okay, let me look at sports, let me look at comic books, let me look at, coins, whatever I'm looking at, can I find examples of items that I think are similar to gold stars in the Pokemon hobby becoming $1 million items? Because unless these items are hundreds of thousands of dollars, from a purely financial perspective, you should probably sell them, unless they have a decent chance of getting there, in my opinion. And these are items that you can now sell for 15 grand, 20 grand. I'm talking about 30 grand, 40 grand. I have a couple of like the PSA 10 Deoxys cards, right? They're all over 50 grand right now. All three of the Pokemon, for example. So when you have a lot of items like that, first of all, the fact that they're even liquid right now, that you can get rid of them because so many people are investing and speculating on them, in my opinion, it's a good time to sell during hype anyway, because you can move more and you don't dilute your own. Because one of the problem of buying up a lot of this stuff is if you start to sell them and you own 5, 10, 15% of the market, you can collapse the market. But not in a boom period like this, not in a period where tons of people are engaging in it. So that's part of the reason why I these are not stocks like you can just click the button. You have to have like a plan and a strategy for how to sell them and actually get top dollar, whatever that top dollar is in the current market. So what I would say is that I think these items do have a chance. I think some of these items have a chance to be multi-$100,000 items. I think the chance of it happening is much, much greater than the Moonbryon. I'll be completely honest with you, like so much greater, like 100 times greater, to be honest, like personally. I think the only way the Moonbryon does it is if alt arts becomes the most important thing or terminology in the hobby 40 years from now. And that was the first ever Umbreon alt art. And there's a lot more things that have that, and that matters the most, because I think the history of those being the first non-WotC sets, and the rarity and the difficulty to pull and the lack of supply on also the sealed side, and the extreme difficulty to grade when you talk about high grades, like those have all of the items of these Batman comics that have gone up from 30 grand 30 years ago to 2 million, 3 million now. And and that's what I'd be looking for on items like that. And if I don't think it's that type of item, I'm selling it. So with those, because I do think they're potentially those types of items, I'm selling some, and I'm selling at prices that I feel good about. And I'm also buying them at the same time at auctions or prices. So when I sell one for, I'm profiting off of flipping them as the market is really hot in them. So I'm actively also buying more and flipping more. So I'm combining sort of the business flipping strategy, making money in all of the activity. I did the exact same thing with Moonbryons. I bought a lot of Moonbryons, guys, not to invest, but to flip into, to resell, buying at a margin, noticing that they're selling a lot, right? It's a very different mindset than I'm holding this. When I invest in something, I want to be able to hold it forever, theoretically, because I think that it's way undervalued right now. And I think it should be worth way more. That's my investing strategy, not like, I hope it goes up and, I don't know what's going to happen, but it's going up now, so it'll go forever, right? So that's what I'd say. So personally, selling a lot of it, but I'm keeping I'm keeping my cleanest copies. You know, I'm also looking at every card carefully. I'm selling like my worst, like if I have a couple 9s, I'm selling like the 2 worst 9s, but keeping the strongest 9. Or 10s, I'm selling the worst 10, keeping the strongest 10s. Like that's how I do it. And then also I'm probably, if the price does start to fall at a certain point, I might start buying them again. So, you know, I like that market. It's a market that I think it's easier to assess the value of markets like that because the supply and demand is more, particularly supply is just, it's a little bit more predictable. It's a little bit easier to know how many gold stars, or to guess within a range how many gold stars PSA 10s there'll be in 20, 30 years versus the Moonbryon, where how are you going to guess how many Moonbryons in PSA 10 they're going to be in 40 years? Anyone have a guess? Could be within hundreds of thousands of range. You know, where
I remember when the pop was like 4,000, 5,000.
Yeah.
There were people in my comments, there were people in live streams saying that was 25% of all Moonbryons produced were already graded in PSA 10. So like
maybe.
how
this very unlikely, but maybe.
Clearly it's wrong because like there's over 14,000 PSA 10s now, or like a lot of these things are already being.
Now. Yeah.
Oh no! I'm saying back then when the number was like half or less.
Well, you had reprints. That's how you get more. Duh.
How disconnected some people
are. But it's
are
gone
from
up,
reality.
Dan. So you're wrong. You're always wrong, no matter what.
I know.
Even if your logic is right, you're wrong because price always goes up. And if price goes down, they leave the hobby, and then new people come in to tell you you're wrong.
One thing I have to add here: Gold Stars, the art only covers half the card. Moonbryon, it covers the whole card. Yeah. So like that's twice the fundamentals of Gold Stars easily.
So you know, this is the type of things I'm thinking about when I'm looking at why is that Batman comic worth millions of dollars right now? Well, it's the demographics. The people who are buying it have the money to spend on it, and the people who care about it, and the amount of supply is so low that it's able to achieve those prices. I think a lot of cards in this hobby that are very expensive, that are being priced like they may have a chance to get that to that amount, just don't have the fundamentals to likely get there. Unless something we talked about happens, which is that like the hobby just gets so much bigger and those cards just are way more important. Like if that card is way more important to the hobby than the Rayquaza Gold Star in 40 years, it might be worth more, even though there's very few Rayquaza Gold Stars and a lot of Umbreons, just because this is all just subjective, which is why this is not investing. You can't invest in the Gold Star Rayquaza either, really. But it's you know, again, it's semantics, but you can know a lot. So you're if you want to use the word educated speculator or whatever, you certainly can. But yes, it's very, people hate when I'm condescending, but it is very, very dumb to ignore math and to think that you are smarter and your vibes are smarter than math. That's a very poor strategy in life. I
have a system, Jake. I have a system.
Think and grow rich. You know, the notion that you can just make anything happen if you believe it enough is not right. That is very inaccurate. I you know, will say that forever to people.
Nick, do you have anything to add?
No, I don't follow Gold Stars nearly enough. I do think they could do well long term, but I would just listen to Jake. Sell a portion, keep a portion at this point.
Yeah, and pointing out that he has 100+ labs, like that is an option. And this goes deeper considerations. Are you accrual based? Are you going to be paying taxes on each individual gain of those cards sold? Are they long-term capital gains? Are they short-term capital gains? What are you going to be putting the money into? If you're cash basis, you could sell, you could realize $500,000 worth of gains. Maybe you have an opportunity. Maybe you have somebody hitting you up right now with $500,000 collection of base set first edition, of trophy cards, maybe things that haven't popped quite as much, maybe things that haven't popped really at all, that you think are a better speculative play over the next 6, 12, 24 months or 20 years, whatever your time frame is. So there's so many moving parts to this decision that need to be considered, and very personal always. Very good question though. Alex PokeCR wants to know, and I won't go first on this one. I'll go last on this one. Nick, you go first since we've been putting you last. Do you think the Umbreon SIR from Prismatic, the Sunbreon as they call it, will eventually drop to around 500 to 600? It is around 800 right now.
I have no idea. I hope so, because I think that is the ugliest card. I don't get anything about that card whatsoever. But no, with how well Prismatic Sealed is doing, it's not like we had the big Costco drop of it. That did not. It affected pricing a little bit, and then it went right back up. So yeah, I do think people like Prismatic. I can see it doing well. But if we do get more reprints, more supply comes, then I can definitely see it dropping. But it could be this. It's the same thing that remember when we had Mason on and we were talking about the OG Moonbreon from Evolving. It was what was like 400 at the time, and we were talking, is that card going to go down? Is it going to go up? And we all said it was going to go down, and it never went down. We had reprints, we had more supply, and it did not go down. So it could be that same situation where this is the best price that you're going to get the card at. I wouldn't think so, but we were wrong before.
What do you think, Jake?
Sure. Yeah. So I would say this one has a little bit of a different trajectory. So this one has had a lot of negative, from what I can tell, a lot of negative talk around it because the price has been falling, whereas the Moonbreon had mostly positive talk around it. So I tend to go more on, like, if people are saying, if everyone's making videos, like I saw a PokeRed video, like that this set's collapse, and everyone has the down arrows and the I think that stuff really has a big impact. That's my personal opinion. Again, super subjective, which is why I can't invest in these things. It is subjective. Nick, Dan, and Mason probably were like, well, we think many more are going to be open and graded, and we think people are going to like move on from this Moonbreon and be interested in other things, and so it's probably going to go down. Very sensible take. Extremely wrong. It's 4x'd. Right? It just shows you how being sensible and logical doesn't mean you're right. So you have to know that constantly as you're making these decisions that you just don't know. So what I would say about something like this is, I think that a lot of the negative talk has pushed the prices down on this compared to what it would have been. So I think things that have been going up in this environment generally continue to go up, and things that go down, have a harder time because lots of people are speculating and trying to make money. The pull rates on these are extremely hard, and the pack prices are really expensive. And if you go back and you compare the prices and the pull rate of the Moonbreon versus the pull rate of the Sunbreon, or whatever we're calling it, I don't know what it is. Do you guys know what it is offhand? But I imagine it's like comparable. If not, the Sunbreons might even be harder.
I think it's 1 in 1,400-ish, which is around the Moonbreon. We don't know exactly. 1 in 1,000, 1 in 2,000.
Okay, and that's to pull the specific Moonbreon. What's the odds of pulling any one of them?
I don't remember.
That's how you figure out the Moonbreon. Because if the odds of pulling every one of them should be however many evolutions there are, right? It should be multiplied by that, and that should be the odds of the Sunbreon. Yeah, so I definitely think. Yeah.
I want to say it was like 1 in. I could be totally wrong, but I want to say it was like 1 in 40, 1 in 50 for any SIR.
The thing is, like,
yeah,
you look at like TCG Player Infinite. They put out an article every time a new set comes out. They open 5,000 or 10,000 packs, which is great. Like it's a decent sample size. But when a pull rate's 1 in 1,000 or 1 in 2,000 packs, 5,000 really isn't sufficient. So I'm looking at some well-made graphics on Google Images right now. One has Moonbreon at 1 in 1666, 1 in 1994, 1 in 1200. Like there's all these numbers, anywhere between 1 in 1,000, 1 in 2,000. And
I heard that it used to be around 1,000, but recently they think that it was wrong and it's actually closer to 2. That's what I've heard about the Moonbreon specifically. But how about the Sunbreon? Does anyone know that one?
I've got Prismatic or I just had them. I just lost them.
Because if it's 1 in 50 to pull an SIR, then it's much easier to pull that card. If it's 1 in 100, how many SIRs are actually?
Well, there's a ton of SIRs though.
So this is saying 1 in 45 for any SIR, which leads to 1 in
Take
1440
that,
for a
Chris.
specific.
And so how many SIRs are in the set?
Must be 25-ish with that multiple. Okay. 20
so it puts
high
it,
20s.
Okay, so it puts it around 1,000, let's say. So it's probably easier than the, let's say it's easier than the Moonbreon. Chris is probably right, but it's not much easier. It's probably, relatively close.
And then the God packs are there, which
true. That's a good point, Grammar. Yeah, and I don't. Yeah, again, right. So let's say the Sunbreon, if we want to throw in God packs, somewhere between 800 and 1,000 or something. Every 800 to 1,000 packs, it's probably in there, somewhere like that. Now, there's also the whole is that one harder or rarer to pull? Does Pokemon make the one they know is going to be more valuable harder to pull? Right. There's all of that speculation too on all of these sets that could be happening, and we don't know. Where the some SARs are easier to pull than other SIRs, right? Anyway, putting all that aside, if you want to go back in time and when the Moonbreon was $500 and you wanted to look at what a pack of Evolving Skies was, I think Evolving Skies, so it was about $140 to $180. But Moonbreon PS8 was in PSA 10 was about $700 then, so the raw was probably $350. So when it was 500, the box was probably over 200 at that point, maybe 240. So, and you get 36 packs, to pull that card versus how much is an Elite Trainer box right now? 100 and something.
Yeah. Packs
are $12 a pack or something. Yeah. So the pack prices are, so if we do 12 times 36, so we're looking at around the same price per pack, maybe. And if the pull rate is similar-ish, you would think maybe, similar-ish price. At that time, the Moonbreon would have been about 500. If the Umbreon SAR is about 500, maybe it's in line, and we're into it. But you also have to look, we're at two totally different times. We're in a market now where everything is spiking, and back then there was more negativity. So this is why you can know all of the data, you can have all of the price memory in the world, and you're still like, I don't know.
And we're in such a different environment too, with what's going on with what Magic's doing, what One Piece is doing. There's other TCGs in the space doing crazy things right now too. It's truly a wild time. But yeah, I think you guys covered all the angles of this. I'm left last with the crumbs. I'll just say crystal ball type thing. I have no idea, and I'm not playing in this market either. If I ever buy a collection that has an Umbreon SIR, if it's gradable, I grade it and I sell it immediately through Fanatics. I net out a big percentage of that. If it's not gradable, I just move it on. I try to buy it at 80% and sell it at 90%, or buy it at 85% and sell it at 95%. It's not something that I interact with in a large fashion, other than just retailing.
I'm gonna say the price makes sense, and it's gonna stay there for a month. Actually, it's going to go down 10% in the next month. It's going to continue the trend. And then the following 3 months, it's going to go up 20%. And then in a year and a half from now, it'll be back to 1,000.
I like it. I mean, I feel like one thing that's being completely underappreciated is that the Moonbreon did not have a theme song sung by the voice of a generation, whereas the Sunbreon does. So I think that's
so gross.
I think that's a fundamental that's largely being ignored.
He was at the National peddling his autographs. Oh, I can't stand him. I can't stand him.
Let's see what happens though. Cheeks Galore wants to know, I know Jake loves Cardass cards, but what does PokeFlipz think about them? They're a big part of Pokemon history and kind of underlooked. I've never been a huge fan of non-TCG. I'm aware of them. I've had some pass through my hands, but yeah, never really had the itch. The one exception being Tops. Tops are nostalgic to me. I had some in my binder when I was younger. I interacted with him some. I've heard a lot of negatives, but like Mason Cardinal, he's talked very down on them. I've heard people like they used to get shunned. They used to get laughed off their playground back in 1999, 2000 if they had Topps cards in their binder. Where I lived, it was like they were accepted. They were reasonable. They were cool. Maybe not quite as cool as the TCG, but yeah, they were widely accepted. So Topps only for the reason that like they're nostalgic to me. Those are like really the only non-TCG that I get into personally. So yeah, what do you think of Cardass, Nick?
I'm the same as you. I've never been a huge fan. Never looked into them much. Never had many of them. I'd much rather the actual like TCG cards. But it's probably partially just because that's like the nostalgia factor. That's what I knew. And then I've just never researched these cards, never dealt with them very often. So that's probably part of it too.
Anything you want to add? I know it wasn't targeted towards you, Jake, but I don't even know price wise. Like, what are Cardass cards doing generally in this current market?
They're in my opinion, they're an important part of Pokemon history and the development of Pokemon and the development of the art styles. And so I would say that there's a number of really cool sets in those areas. I love the 1997. If you're talking specifically, about those. It was the first time that Pokemon appeared in sort of like a playful. So if you're interested in art and you like history and history of like specifically Pokemon art on cards, how could you not be a fan of those in my view? But yeah, I mean, people collect and are fans of this stuff for different reasons. Some people just like to collect the familiar and what they grew up with. Other people want to collect items that they think are important to like, Pokemon history, and they're interested in sort of the development of the different art styles and the different like key artists in Pokemon. And other people are more just like, I just want to collect stuff that looks cool and that I like the way it looks, and we're all probably a hybrid of some of those things. So yeah. So what I would say is like, I think they're cool. Price, like trying to make money off of them, I've never been a fan, because they have for as long as I've been in this hobby, they've been relatively niche and illiquid compared to lots of other areas. And that's why people, in my opinion, a lot of people don't like them, is because they can't make money off of them, or they feel like they can't make money off of them, versus that they actually, I think when I sell them on streams, they do great because they're cool, because people like them, because they hit, because they're old, they're vintage, they're unique arts. Like, people have never seen them, right? These are all, a lot of our audience are people who are like fairly new into Pokemon, or a year or two in, or 6 months or whatever. They've never seen them. No one ever talks about them. So that's what I'd say about all of them. As far as like how they're doing in this market, they're not doing enough that I've cared to notice that much. I think like you're seeing, like, there's certainly 1997 Prism Cardass cards, like the Hollows or whatever, like in PSA 10, that are going for many thousands of dollars because they're hard to grade. Like, I think we could look up the Charizard, but I want to say the Charizard's probably $4,000 or $5,000 card. You could buy that for $500 back in 2020, 2019. So like, they've gone up 10 times in value. No one talks about, but there's something that doesn't move very often. So it's not something you're going to build a business around. So guys like us, PokeFlipz people, and people in general, are just not going to be aware of them. It doesn't make sense to be aware of them. There aren't enough of them. There isn't enough of liquidity. There isn't a big enough market, et cetera, et cetera. It's not worth your time unless you're a collector, honestly.
Quick one here, Dan. Is there any other programs similar to Troll and Toad Evo out there? I use Comsi. They're just for singles. I use them a little bit for like very obscure things. I bought a collection a couple of years ago that had like Naruto, that had Power Rangers cards, and I sell things on Buy It Now through Comsi very, very slowly. But I mean, James does Buy It Now consignments for like slabs, but Probstein does sealed. DC Sports is out there. Like, there's a lot of different consignment operations, but nothing really that was like one-to-one with Troll and Toad Evo, unfortunately. I will forever miss that program. Anti-shill hater says, would you sell all Paradox Rift booster boxes and cases to roll over to 151 packs, Paldean Fates ETBs, bundles, or Sword Shield boxes right now? Again, I'll go last because I've been going early. Nick says yes.
Paradox Rift is the worst set in Scarlet and Violet. I hate that set. It's so bad. So I would say 100%. But then again, if you already have Paradox Rift, and your cost basis is low, 151 Paldean Fates, all that stuff is more expensive. So you might just want to hold on to it, because it will. I think it will grow over time. I just have a personal. I can't stand that set.
What do you think, Jake?
Go ahead.
No thoughts, Jake?
Oh, I'm muted. Yes, I would sell all of it and put it into stuff that sells faster, because it doesn't sell that fast for me. I have no idea, like an investment. I have no idea, but just I would put it into something that I think putting, you always want to be in the stuff that's the most liquid for your business. So sure, if you have the option to do that, that may not be super easy, but if you can, you should. Because you might have to take a loss, right? I mean, you might have to sell it 85%, and you may not be able to then buy the other things that, then I'm not sure I'd do it. That's where but if you could trade straight up Paradox Rift booster boxes for the same amount of value in 151 and Paldean Fates, yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like talk versus walk, just demonstrating what I'm actively doing. I recently, for the first time, I tested like a personal bounty. Fanatics will occasionally do a bounty for pulling the Mewtwo from Destined Rivals or the Umbreon from Prismatic. And there was nothing going on for that weekend. I have a very, very deep stock of Paradox Rift. And relative to the other sets of the same era, relative to the other things, I just have a lot of it, and it's not selling very quickly at all. So I did something to stimulate the sales of it. I threw a bounty. I did the math on what the pull rate was, the Groudon IR, and I did the math on like what will give me a reasonable net on selling these things. And the biggest single item that I've added on net to my investment position, we'll call it, again, using the vernacular of the space, the biggest thing that I've added on net to my investment position of the past 3 months is 151 packs at approximately $9 a pack. I've paid $9 to $9.25. I like them. They're coming up on 2 years old. They sell a lot. They check a lot of boxes. They check a lot of boxes as far as like the stream metrics go. They check a lot of nostalgic boxes for me. And I just feel like it's going to be, I don't know when, but I feel like it could be a Crown Zenith type situation where the price is just here for a while. Reprints are coming out, poster collections, bundles, left and right, being botted and then scalped to me and scalped to other people like me. And then at some point, those will just dry up and it'll gap. It'll gap to 13, 14, 15 bucks a pack. I think that is my thesis on why I'm speculating on that a bunch in the past couple months. So, yeah. Again, we're saying what we're doing, what we would do. We are not directing you on what to do. Lots of considerations, but those are our thoughts. Pokebondo's got a lengthy one. I've got two things starred. Question: how do you attribute a new Pokemon game / generation success to the short-term success of the TCG? We saw a very buggy release of Scarlet Violet paired with easy pull rates leading to lessened demand. Whereas if Generation 10 comes out and is very successful with an impactful story and protagonist Pokemon, I could see it furthering the hype versus pulling it back like SV did at the end of Sword Shield. There's a lot there.
Can you go back to the first one? I missed the first.
I'll go
Nick
first.
Nick was reading something else. He was distracted.
Yeah. I'll go first while Nick catches up. But I think it's an interesting thought. It would be interesting to go back and do some kind of like, this almost feels like a Patreon thing. Do a deep dive of like every and unfortunately there's probably not many people that have been here for the release of every generation of cards and every generation of sets. But it would be really interesting anecdotes to hear from. Look at the sales of each generation. Look at how the booster box prices went for the first couple years after release. I think there's like some old data that you could dive into that would be really interesting to see what would come of it. But I'm just not aware enough of that information to really give anything too concrete. I think a lot of people get like something will happen a couple times in a row, and people will get two data points, and they'll extrapolate into affinity. And one thing that like is a very common theme over the past few years is like summer slowdown. And I've always pushed back on like, I don't think summer slowdown is like that useful of a thing to like take too heavily into your business actions day by day, week by week, month by month. And then this year, things like this year will happen, and maybe it is the exception. Like there probably is a lot of data to support things generally slow down in the summer. But I think trying to make too drastic of business decisions based on a couple data points extrapolated is just dangerous and not worthwhile pursuing that much. So I don't personally have too many thoughts on it. I'm going to interact with the release of Gen 10 in the same way I would regardless whether the game is better or worse. I think there definitely is overlap between the video game consumers and the TCG consumers, but they are like, it's a Venn diagram, and how much of the middle is overlap, I don't really know. What do you think, Nick? You got through it all?
Yeah, the whole game aspect, I have no idea on it, but I will say I don't think we will see like the like with Sword and Shield, we went from having such good alt arts and a crazy end to Sword and Shield with the with like Evolving, Brilliant, Lost, Crown Zenith, Alt, Silver Tempest. We went from having such good sets to having Scarlet and Violet base, Paldea, which was hated. Now people are starting to like it, but it went from being so good to kind of meh. And it took people time to kind of get used to the new metrics and all that stuff. But I don't think that's happening with going from Scarlet and Violet into these mega sets. From a card perspective, anyway, the new cards look so good. I think if anything, the end of Scarlet and Violet, it was the black and white set. I think the mega sets are better than the black and white sets already. So I think it's kind of continuing to get better and better from here.
What do you think, Jake?
I don't have anything to add. Yeah, it's covered it. And I don't honestly don't know a lot about this. So I'm not sure. Nice to see your name though, Bond. I hope you're doing well.
And I will say, Jake, I don't know if you were paying attention before you hopped in, but tomorrow we're all going to Charlotte, obviously. We have quite a bit of stuff to do. So we talked at the outset of ending around 3:15 for like a 2-hour live overall. So we probably will wrap up in the next 15 minutes. I have more starred than I can get to, but we will do our best. Appreciate the question, everyone. So if you have any other questions, feel free to pop them in chat. I can't promise that we'll get to all of them, but we will do our best. Mason D wants to know, if you believe in the 4-year cycle for Bitcoin, next year is a bear market. Do you anticipate that impacting this hobby and slowing things down, maybe after the 30th? I'll again yield the first whack at it to someone else. So
I don't believe in that. So it's I don't believe in that. So
you don't believe in the like if the 30th wasn't happening, do you think this? I don't know. It's so tough to tell. Like I think I wouldn't say all of it, but I think a portion of this boom just kind of continuing is because of people speculating on the 30th anniversary. And I think if we had just had like the 25th anniversary and we were still years out from the 30th anniversary, I don't know if would this boom have like continue and last as long as it has. I don't know. I don't know if it would.
And I think just what I had said on the last question, like I don't really buy into the whole summer slowdown thing. There might be some data that you can fit to a chart, you can back test, and you can like, okay, generally, but it's not that useful to act on as a business or whatever. The whole Bitcoin, I'm aware I'm relatively aware of like the Bitcoin halving cycle and the 4-year periods. I Googled it really quickly. You can pull up a lot of fancy charts that show you back tested lines of fit. And it reeks of like charting. It reeks of the things that go on with the descending triangles and this and that. Like to some extent, if people believe it's a thing, it will have an effect on the market. If people believe, because it's happened some amount of times in the past, that Bitcoin's going to be in a bear market next year because of what it's done. Like if 50% of Bitcoin owners believe that, or 50% of people who engage with Bitcoin believe that, and the same thing can be said about the summer slowdown. If a large enough percent of people believe that, it will have some effect, but how much? It's just like there's so many layers of unknowns and propagating error of your estimates. I don't have any, like I own the most Bitcoin I've ever owned, and I don't plan on selling a large portion of it going into this bear market next year. I think it's just as likely that it goes up a bunch, that it goes down a bunch next year. I truly don't know. So yeah, it's just like crystal ball type. Nobody knows. This is a follow-up from one earlier that Gackle asked. To follow up, knowing XY, Sun, and Moon were printed much less than Sword and Shield and Scarlet and Violet, and knowing that today people keep more sealed than they did in 2014 to 2020, wouldn't you say at current prices XY, Sun, and Moon is underpriced? No, I would not say that. They might go up, they might go down, as always, but people are definitely keeping more sealed than they were in 2014 to 2020. Some people, I can't say overall, I can't say confidently that overall a higher percentage. One thing that I do know is more is being ripped. More is being ripped. Look at the pull rates. Look at the pop reports. Look at the live streams. We've opened however many 100-something thousand packs at this point this year alone. So again, there's so many moving parts. There's so many unknowns. I do not currently look at Phantom Forces at $12,000. And I think you had another comment somewhere that I didn't highlight, but you had mentioned specifically like certain XY boxes being under 2,000. It's all relative. Phantom Forces is 11, 12,000. Certain ones might be under $2,000, but talk versus walk. I'm not investing, speculating into XY, Sun, and Moon whatsoever. If I had them, if I had a Phantom Forces box, honestly, if I had one, maybe I'd keep it because that was the one that I got back into the hobby on. But if I had two of them, I would definitely sell one of them. And I would rather have, like if I'm investing, opportunity cost and what will do the most for my money is like the main consideration. So would I rather have a Phantom Forces box or 1,200 packs of 151? It might lose over 6 months or 2 months or 10 years or 20 years, but I am betting every time on 1,200 packs of 151 over Phantom Forces. And if you had asked me 6 months ago, Dan, would you rather have 600 packs of 151 or one Phantom Forces booster box? I would have picked the 600 packs of 151, and I would have been wrong over this duration. So, like, that's just my current thoughts at this time. What do you guys think? Are you guys deep in XY, Sun, and Moon speculation?
No. I think the biggest like you said, the biggest thing is people are opening up so much more Scarlet and Violet and Sword and Shield than they are Sun and Moon XY. Streaming in particular, Sun and Moon and XY is painful to open. Sword and Shield and Scarlet and Violet are, especially Scarlet and Violet, is so much better to open. And I think a lot more streamers are focusing on that than XY, Sun and Moon type stuff.
What do you think, Jake?
Yeah, I think generally it's all overvalued. So relative, sure. I think Scarlet and Violet. I think if I was forced to guess, I would say Sword and Shield is the most overrated prices and era. If I was forced to guess, but I put so little stock in my own guess. This is why I don't predict your guess things. I know you guys get lots and lots of like predicting guessing questions, which is why part of why I quit YouTube. But it's like because I have to give the same answer to everything. Like I think, Gak, I think you're smart. I think you know the market really well. The person who asked this question, but also I don't think you're going to be able to predict it very well, and that's a frustrating answer. Like I think logically, like, you know the market really well. Like, you know, nothing we're going to tell you, yes, you're right. Like, this box being 1,000 and this box being 500, when this box seems like 100 times rarer and has cards in it that seem so much rarer and the pops are so low. Like, if you look at sports and you look at sealed product from sports, the stuff that is selling for like huge amounts right now has like that people are trying to find because they want to open it, have like the key cards from sports history, right? Key mantles, key like Steph Curry and LeBron James like numbered cards from like the 90s and 2000s, and it's like pick your key things and then key cards from those things. So if I were going to invest, I would focus on the cards that are inside. And I know this is like blows people's mind in Pokemon, because this is like the opposite of how a lot of Pokemon sealed investors think. I mean, I think they probably think about that a little bit, but they're more just like, no, it's just the rarity of the box is what matters. But like, if I were going to invest, I would probably have to look at every box from every era, and I would say, which one do I think has the best card, and is that at a relatively good price compared to this other era or this other thing? And I do think that full arts, the first ever full arts, have a chance of being like a historically important thing. And so I think a box like Fates Collide with the first ever, Gengar full art, sorry, Phantom Forces, not Fates Collide.
Phantom Forces, yeah.
Yeah, sorry. With the first ever I think like I have felt like those boxes were extremely undervalued for years relative. I have thought, I've said this many times when I had a channel, I said this in the Patreon many times, like, think about the things that like are going to stand out. It's not just about rarity, and it's not just about age. It's about like, what did that era bring into the hobby that's going to be important in 20 years from now? The first time these were ever full arts is important. That's an important thing, particularly if they're still really popular, in my view. That differentiates them from primes and level X's, which to me, although they might be like way rarer, are not as important to the hobby as full arts. I'll be honest with you. Like, I think the fact that they extended the art to the full thing is way more important than another kind of like rare low printed item. So when we're looking at where I'm going to speculate, I'm going to think about those things in the long run. In the short run, I'm with Dan. I'm just buying the stuff that my business can sell really fast. So that's why I'm taking the 1,200 packs, not because I'm holding the 1,200 packs and I think they're doubling in price. And maybe Dan is taking the 1,200 and hoping that. But
I'm doing both. I'm sitting on some amount. Yeah. But all things considered, like year to date, we've sold. Let me make sure this is right. We sold 12,000 packs of 151 on stream. I am speculating in 151 long term, in that my entire inventory is like 9,000 packs of 151. So I have not even 7 months worth of inventory if we rip over the next 7 months the same way we have over the last. So it's like, it's part of me, I've segmented in my brain that like 3,000 or 4,000 of those packs are like long term. Some of them are actually on the pallet, so I won't touch them until 2030. But most of them are just the continual churn. Most of them are just going to PK, going to Ponga, going to the streams immediately and being sold. Buying at 85%, selling at 105%. But I don't have 100% confidence in either side of it, so I'm kind of playing both sides. I'm investing, speculating in the sealed product long term, and then I'm trying to help myself. I'm same thing Jake said to an extent about the gold stars. He's selling some right now. He's realizing long-term gains. Some amount of those 151 packs I bought for $4, $5 last year. Some amount of those packs I'm realizing like substantial gains on. I guess to be fair, like most of those are probably worked through by now. Probably my cost basis on all my current ones are like at 8.
I was gonna say I doubt you have any from the beginning, because that's always been a popular set.
Given 12,000 sold this year, I probably have cycled, if I do last in first out, or first in first out. If I do first in first out, probably my current cost basis on the ones I'm selling is 9. But I'm speculating on some over and I was doing the same with Crown. I was doing the same with Crown when I was buying it for $4 a pack. I was actively selling it every day on the streams for $6 a pack or whatever. And it went to 10. Now I'm selling it for 12 and I'm buying it for $9.50. And every day it's like my inventory is changing some. And sometimes I end up a little bit heavier in certain sets and I try to rebalance. I try to adjust to what I think will serve me well. But I'm just, I'm guessing. I'm guessing on a lot of this stuff. A lot of this stuff is done on vibes, on gut feel. And I've been wrong. There was 1 week, about 6 weeks ago, PK ran out of Prismatic. To me, that is unacceptable. Like, we sold out of our most hyped set. We sold 17,000 packs of Prismatic this year. I went a little bit overboard. I paid $11 a pack when market was like 12. And I shortly afterwards, not long afterwards, market was like 10.50. We were basically selling Prismatic for break even for a couple of weeks because I bought like 4,000 packs of Prismatic at $11 a pack. And then market went to like 10.50 within a week or two from that. And I just bought like 4,000 more last week because those last 4,000 were entirely gone at this point. But yeah, it's kind of fun. It's kind of fun trying to optimize and trying to theorize what's going to go up, what's going to go down, how much inventory to have of different things. And it's pretty crazy market. We are just about to wrap up. I think we'll probably just call it there. If anyone's going to Charlotte, definitely come say hi. Jake, you guys don't have a booth, right? You guys are just going content.
We just got one. We just got one like 30 minutes ago, so we do now.
Oh, okay, cool. So definitely go check out the. You have an entire section, or do you have just a booth?
No. Just one table, just as kind of mostly just a place to like put our things and shoot content and be kind of a base of operations for the team.
Nice. So definitely go find the. Do you got like a nice tablecloth, nice banner? How can people find you?
I don't think we prepared that because I think we thought there wasn't going to be a table. So we are going to have our show kit soon, but I'll be next to Thrifty. So look for Thrifty.
Oh, nice.
And so probably next to Nick then. Nick, are you going to be at the table selling?
No, I'm going to be walking around. But I'll come say hi at least. You guys got a good table. That'll be good.
But yeah, as always, we appreciate everyone being here. If you're going to be in Charlotte, safe travels to and from. Go say hi to Jake. Go say hi to Thrifty.
Whoa,
I'll be there.
Yeah.
Don't say hi to Nick. Definitely don't say hi to Nick. Or I didn't say to say hi to me either. Go say hi to Jake and Thrifty, not Nick and myself. You see us too much here on PokeFlipz. But yeah, I'll be around the convention at some point Saturday, maybe a little bit Sunday morning, but definitely a lot of extracurriculars going on for the weekend. I'm sure we'll hit the public house one of the nights. That place is fun. You got the bocce ball in the corner there. You got darts. You got good beers, good food. So I think we'll end up gathering there at some point. But anything else to add in closing? Go check out KetchumAllCollectibles on Fanatics Live. Go check out Cardass Live on eBay Live. Go check out OldSkoolPokemon on eBay Live. I believe Thrifty is live as we speak, right?
Yeah.
So go bid away there. Jake, are you live right now? Is anybody live or no?
I don't think so.
Beerski's going live. At
Is
3
he live now?
4. I don't know if he went live yet. It might be 3.
Yeah. Usually, our times are still erratic to the point where I'm not sure. I know he's going live today. Beerskate 4. Yeah, I had a feeling it was more like 4 or 5, but yeah.
PK was
live at 4. So, watch a little bit of Thrifties and then, abandon that and come watch.
Save all your money up for Beerskate. No, go save all your money up for PK
because everyone here is our target audience, Yeah. So definitely, I'm targeting Walrus. Like, we're building our business around getting Walrus to come and buy from our streams. So Walrus, if you're listening.
It is nice. It is nice to have flippers in your stream because then you know that your floor goes from like if you have 2 flippers in your stream, your floor for auctions will go from like what could be as low as 30% to like that people are going to scoop it at least 50-60% if they're savvy, if they know the prices, if they'll literally just buy it from you, sell it back to you at 80% to restream it, to resell it. I've definitely had some people.
I bought a card from Nick a few months ago for 190 that I sold for 600. the same week.
Jesus.
I definitely have some people that
That
buy
Groudon
from PK
Kyogre EX.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
I have some people that buy from me
that
sell back to me. I definitely have people that scoop up the low auctions, and it's definitely a play. But yeah, go check out PK tonight. He's got cheaper Chinese 151. We heard Nick's price and we undercut it. So go buy from PK the Chinese 151. But yeah, thanks everyone for another great stream. Thanks, Jake, for joining us. I didn't put him in the title and the thumbnail because we didn't have it locked down, but it was nice to have you drop in. But yeah, have a great weekend, everyone. We will catch you all later.